This video might be a little bit messy. I did try to start it in late 2023. I've actually put the date on part of the beginning of the video, which was filmed on the 1st of November 2023. And I shelved it for a while. So I've come back to it because I think it's an important area. So we're going to look at parts of Lime Street around the area of Lime Street Station and how it's changed over the years. I'm not going to really go into great detail about St George's Hall because that probably warrants a video on its own, and I'm not going to talk about Lime Street from Lime Street Station down to its junction with Brownlow Hill. So essentially this video is about St John's Gardens, Lime Street Station and its surrounding area, and what was once known as St George's Place. So these areas have changed dramatically over the years, even over the last, what should we say, 16 years or so. So let's have a look at the changes in this area. Now this is St George's Hall, which sits on Lime Street, pretty much directly opposite Lime Street Station, and behind it lies St John's Gardens. And just so you know where it is on this Google map, I've marked it with a red border. So that's where our video starts. This is St John's Gardens, and it sits behind St George's Hall, which is just to my right here. On this site there used to be a church called St John's. St John's Gardens was enclosed, boarded off in 1767, and it was used as a burial ground for Liverpool's poor. It had a small mortuary chapel at that time. It was in 1775 that the first stones were laid for St John's Church, which was designed in the Gothic style by the architect Thomas Littler. Construction of the church was completed in 1784. In the year that St John's Church was completed, it served one of the most crowded and poorest areas in the city. St John's Churchyard was closed for burials on the 11th of June 1865, 82,491 bodies having been interned in the grounds of St John's Gardens. The church was closed under the terms of the Liverpool City Churches Act 1897, and the last Sunday service took place there on the 27th of March 1896. Now you might be wondering why they would build a church at the back of St George's Hall, and the answer is quite simple, because St George's Hall wasn't there at that time. The church was built in 1784, and it would be 1854 when work began on St George's Hall. So for some time the church stood in this area on its own. This is the back of St George's Hall and some of the statues which adorn St John's Gardens today. Right, so we are now going to move away from 2023 and enter more modern times, summer 2024. Crown Street Station was built as the Liverpool terminus railway station of the Liverpool and Manchester Railway. It opened on the 15th of September 1830. The station was only used for passengers for 6 years before being replaced by Lime Street. The reason was they decided that Crown Street wasn't close enough to the city centre. I would have thought someone might have noticed that before they built it. This then is Lime Street Station, the replacement for Crown Street, and it opened in August 1836. It is the oldest still operating Grand Terminus mainline station in the world. Work began on this station in October 1833. It was designed by John Cunningham, Arthur Home and John Fraser Jr. Now, in doing some research on the station, I came across this drawing, and there's one or two others which are pretty similar. So I'm going to guess that this is what the original Lime Street Station looked like from the front. This is the front facade. Lime Street Station officially opened in August 1836. It proved to be very popular, so much so that within the first 6 years of it opening, it needed an expansion. This was carried out by Joseph Locke, Richard Turner, William Fairbairn and John Kennedy. It was completed in 1849. During 1867, work upon a further expansion of Lime Street commenced, this time building the northern shed. This was designed by William Baker and Francis Stevenson. During 1879, the second southern shed was completed, and I guess by then it looks the way it does today. Lime Street Station is fronted by a large building designed in the Renaissance Revival style. The Railway Hotel opened in 1871 and it was designed by Alfred Waterhouse. It contained 330 rooms. The hotel closed in 1933, subsequently becoming Lime Street Chambers, which is when it was an office block. In 1994, the building was bought by John Moores University, was converted into a hall of residence for students, opening in 1996. On the 28th of September 2018, the building would be restored as a hotel by Marcus Worthington Group at a cost of £30 million. And the Radisson Red Liverpool Hotel opened on the 13th of December 2022. This photograph that we've been looking at was taken in 1930, and I've put a ring around where the ABC cinema would soon be built on the corner there. Now, the ABC was built in 1931 and it started its life as the Forum. It was renamed by ABC Cinemas in 1971. In 1986, the cinema changed names again, this time becoming the Cannon, and it stayed as the Cannon until its closure in 1998. Let's have a look now at the exterior area of Lime Street Station, and this is an area that has gone through many changes, even in my lifetime. I vaguely remember Lime Street Station looking like this. The Royal Hotel was a family-run business that once stood at the entrance to Lime Street Station, alongside a number of other businesses before they were knocked down in 1967. In its heyday, the Royal was a busy hotel with 5 bedrooms for guests and a public bar, and it saw thousands of guests pass through its doors. Apparently, it was very famous for its hot pot recipe. After the demolition of the Royal Hotel and the shops which were next door to it, the council decided to build Concourse House, which was a 13-storey high-rise office block. I believe it was never fully occupied. So this was built between 1967 and 1969, and it was designed by an architect called Richard Seifert. Now this is a mechanical spider for a show which was called La Princesse. The spider is actually 15 metres, and it was showcased around Liverpool for the European Capital of Culture celebrations in 2008, and it first appeared on the side of Concourse House. At the time Concourse House was here, there was also a row of shops built outside the foyer of Lime Street Station. Once Concourse House and the shops had been demolished in 2009, there were plans to build this tower. This would have been 22 stories, I believe, and it would have been accommodation, so a 22-storey apartment block, and at the bottom would have been shops. The plans were actually shelved because of costs, so it never came to fruition. So instead of building the 22-storey tower, we ended up with a lot of steps, and this is what Lime Street Station looks like today. Now let's move on to the opposite side of the road, and this area used to be called St George's Place. This is a photograph from the 1950s, and you can see Lime Street Station's southern shed and the Royal Hotel on the left, and St George's Place is pretty much directly opposite. This is the same area, photograph taken from the top of St George's Hall, I think, probably having some work done on it. You can see the scaffolding. This is what St George's Place looked like in the daytime. You can see there's a couple of hotels there, and this is what it looked like at night. Quite spectacular. I remember this. I remember walking past it when we were going to the cinema, walking back from London Road maybe, some trips into the city centre on a train. We would get off at Lime Street and it would be directly in front of you. This is a closer view. You can see that there's at least 2 hotels here. One called the Imperial, one called the Washington Hotel, and the Empress Chinese Restaurant. That's the one with the Schweppes sign above, Schweppes tonic water. So this photograph shows a group of kids and some adults as well watching a Punch and Judy show. And this is the bend of the road which would take you down and past St John's Gardens on the right hand side. You can see the end of the Chinese restaurant with the Schweppes sign above, top left. This is again taken from St George's Hall, and it's looking down on the area. On the right hand side you can see that St George's Place has now been demolished. It's been flattened. So I thought I would take you through a couple of before and after. So this photograph shows St George's Place in the 1950s. It's taken from opposite St George's Hall. In the right hand side there you can just see the very end of St George's Hall, and it's still covered in scaffolding. This is the view today from St George's Hall. That's what they built. I'll just go through that once again. So that's before, and this is today. Before in the 1950s and today. So I'll just have a walk round. This is a facade which covers a multi-storey car park. This is reasonably new. I think this dates from around about 2000 and I'm going to say 2008, but I might be wrong. I think they put this up for the City of Culture, Capital of Culture celebrations in 2008. Prior to that, it used to be just on show as a car park. I might be wrong with the dates, but it was at one time just on show. So basically, when they demolished this site where St George's Place stood, they also demolished the old St John's Market, and they built St John's Precinct. Now there is a market in St John's Precinct called St John's Market. This is a view from where the cinema is, or was. Well, it's still there, but it's not a cinema anymore, it's just lying empty. A view down towards St George's Hall. I'm not really going to make a comment. I'll leave it to you, which you prefer, the before or the after. I just wanted to say that this video has taken an eternity to put together. I know I started filming it in 2023, but the actual editing of it has taken longer than any other video I've made so far, even ones that are longer than this. Just trying to make everything fit together and make sense, and researching some of the dates, just taking ages. Anyway, I hope you enjoy it, and thanks very much for watching. I'll catch up soon.